Hello, hello, hello! Sammy here from the Gateway team, and I am back with my top 3 anime antagonists of all time video series. I'm doing antagonist number 2 today, and if you missed my last video, I spoke about Shogo Makishima from Psycho Pass. You can check that out in the notes underneath or up here. But for now, let's jump into antagonist number 2. Antagonist type 2 is the Chaos Merchant, the Loki or Joker figure, the person who wants to burn the world to the ground and look as cool as possible while doing so. This is Satō from Ajin. Ajin is set in a world where a minute amount of people are Ajins. Ajins are essentially humans, but possess the ability to never be able to die. They also have the ability to manifest a ghost-like entity called an IBM, who can act in accordance with the Ajin's wishes. Whilst it might sound like a pretty cool thing to be, Ajins are hunted down by the various governments around the world and experimented on brutally. The lead character, Kei Nagato, is a studious and rather detached and cold high school student who plans to become a doctor. This is all thrown out the window when, lost in thought, he is hit by a truck-kun. Now, rather than waking up in a fantasy world, as is anime tradition, he revives as an Ajin and has left with no choice but to flee the Japanese government. Basically, being an Ajin is not a fun thing to be. Unless you're Satō. Born Samuel T. Owen, Satō is a half American, half Chinese, and ex-Special Forces soldier who, unlike most anime villains, is actually a rather old man, probably in his 50s, potentially early 60s. Satō is obsessed with games of all kinds, but particularly video games. He loves playing games to completion on their hardest difficulty modes, and he carries this propensity into real life too. He's obsessed with a challenge and sees the world as a game to be completed on the hardest mode. He loves putting himself up against the hardest challenges he can find and ultimately emerging victorious. Unlike Makishima, Satō isn't a particularly deep character. He just wants to mess shit up and have fun while doing so. And there's something very fun and enticing about that. It helps that he's a total badass too, like when he posts a list of government and business officials that he intends to kill and in which order. This leads the head of a pharmaceutical company to up the security of his building to crazy levels. But instead of storming the building like people would expect, Satō and his crew blow up the taller tower behind the pharmaceutical building so that it collapses on top. And Satō, being the mad lad that he is, rides the fucking tower down to the ground whilst laughing hysterically. Hell yes. This leads to one of my favorite action sequences of all time, where Satō takes on an elite Japanese police unit, only aided by his trusty shotgun and his friends half a mile away with a sniper rifle. It's one of my favorite action sequences in all of anime. It's just so good. He's also highly manipulative. Satō presents to the world as a freedom fighter looking to start a free country for the Ajin, free from persecution. Thing is though, he doesn't really care about Ajin rights. He just wants the opportunity to challenge himself against the Japanese government. So while Satō may not be the deepest character around, he's not quoting Pascal left, right, and center like Makishima, he is one of the most fun. If he was a D&D character, he'd have a chaotic evil alignment. And sometimes, it's just super enjoyable to watch. I can legitimately say that the only reason I watch Ajin is for Satō. Even though he is a psychopath, his unpredictability is what makes him so interesting. Just sit back and watch the world burn with him. And that's it. That is my second anime antagonist in my top 3 series. Thank you so much for joining me. Tune in next time to find out who my final antagonist is. I'll catch you then. All the best.